I'm gonna keep it friendly until we get to that point because I don't want him to be closed off. Today, we're gonna be interviewing presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy. You know, this is one of the ones to where it really will decide America's future.
He's got to give the ultra political answer that's not representative of actual thinking. That's what he has to do, right? That is nothing but power.
Decided that they're not going to get behind anybody else besides Biden. And the people absolutely don't want Biden. That's why this year's election is going to be one of the most dangerous in history. Understand how dangerous it is.
Are we low level or high level?
Today, we're going to be interviewing presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy. It's going to be a great interview. This is my first politician that we're going to be interviewing, so the goal is to be able to just get an introspective, look at his mind, his policies, his ideas. I believe that this is actually, a great idea for all politicians to do is to sit down, not with mainstream media, sit down with independent media, right? And independent media nowadays looks like, people who have podcasts, people who have media that they run so they can get their questions directly answered and everything is not completely scripted. I think you're going to get a real look because if these are the people that's supposed to be leading the country, you should know who they are and you should have access to them to talk to them like they are regular people. I'm going to keep it friendly until we get to that point because I don't want him to be closed off and defensive.
Yeah, but I'm saying that my only thought is that's not a real combo. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's got to give the ultra political answer that's not representative of actual thinking.
Yeah, I've seen him play super mental gymnastics with this lady who really got his ass really great. But he played super mental gymnastics and just basically denied all the logic she spat at him, but it made him look terrible.
Because that's what he has to do, right? That is nothing but power, bro.
Hey, how are you?
My name's Amechi. It's nice to meet you. Amechi.
Amechi.
Nice to meet you.
Stephanie.
It's good to meet you.
Good to meet
Is
you
that
too.
the name you were born with?
Yeah, it's Nigerian. It means only God knows tomorrow.
It means?
Only God knows tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, bro. It's Steve.
Hey, how are you?
All right. How you doing?
Hey.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you
19
too.
Keys.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
What do I call you?
I go by Keys.
Keys? Okay.
Yes. How you
Hi,
doing?
Stephanie.
Pleasure to meet you, Stephanie.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Look like y'all been in the sun a lot.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I've been outside.
Vitamin D.
Yeah, gotta get some of that. Well, come in and take a seat. I think it's important that we look at Robert F. Kennedy because most people are complaining about Trump and Biden, and they saying that these are the choice between the two evils.
We need a president in office who's going to protect our constitutional rights. President Trump appointed a number of judges that have made it illegal to give race-based reparations to anybody.
Who murdered them? Who killed your uncle, right? Who killed your dad? And are they the same people that assassinated Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
The government has no business lying to us. They funnel $10 billion a year, bribing journalists, blackmailing them.
And what are your thoughts on Bill Gates?
So all of these African countries pressured their people to stop subsistence agriculture and to switch over to these GMO grains. There's about 30 million people who have been pushed into food insecurity because of this. And that's all Bill Gates. They found out that black children who got the vaccine on time, they had a 2.5 times greater incident of autism than black kids who waited. And they were told to dump their hard drives and all the race-based data into those garbage cans and destroy them. If there's an appetite for the truth in this country, I will be president.
This particular election is going to be the most important election throughout human history.
Yeah, we'll follow up. Maybe you can get a hike in, have a vlog type conversation, do something like that.
Yeah, if you wanted to ever do that, that'd be great.
Most definitely.
I
I'm
hike
out of
every
here.
morning, so
Yeah, where you hike at?
on Mandeville Canyon.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it'll be great if you want to do it.
Most definitely.
We can bring
Shut
the
it up.
cameras and have a talk while we
Yeah,
walk.
reach
Yeah.
out.
He's
Okay.
probably the only fit candidate that I've seen in a long time, so absolutely.
What do you think allowed you sort of to come out of that environment? You think it was your early education, your parents, without that, with a really clear idea of who you are and, what it means to be a man?
Mm, that's a good question. I think about it a lot because I got 7 brothers. I grew up in Oakland and St. Louis. And a lot of people that grew up in the same exact environments as I didn't survive. Most of them, 90% of them, I would say, are dead, in jail, disease, homeless, on drugs. So it's like even when I go back hometown, there's almost nobody to visit. The people from my childhood are no longer there. So for me, I think I have an outlier mentality at the same time. I got a growth mindset. Growing up in a Black Muslim environment, being taught how to be a soldier, right? Taking things as challenges versus looking at them as problems that's happening to me. Being taught that I was a god, developing that complex of thinking. I just always looked at everything, as something that was growing me for this ultimate destiny.
Yeah.
So I would say more than anything, it's the mindset that I observed from men that I respected and the ideals that I got from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But then, there's other people that got those same ideas, but they didn't fare as well. That's why there's a part of it to where I can't generalize it on the rest of society because everybody don't have that outlier mentality, right? I feel like I was blessed with a certain idea about myself and a certain self-image. And I made a choice at a very young age that my life meant more. I done been in times where I done been in shootouts and the very thought in my mind, and I'm talking about in high school, I'm like, I'm not gonna die right here because I'm destined for something more, right? These are things that stuck with me throughout my whole life to where I had to always figure out how do I make sense of what I'm going through? How do I transmute that into something else? And so a part of that is a demonstration of seeing men, seeing what's possible, right? Self-education, because I never finished college, but I never stopped learning, right? And then focusing on developing a superior mindset and asking myself, what does it mean to be a man? I constantly take myself through the rites of passage to become a man because I never just assumed that just because I reach a certain age, I'm a man. I always thought about the trials and tribulations and the self-development and the values and the principles that it takes to be a man. And so as I accomplish those throughout different periods in life, that's when I can give myself credit. Like, all right, I see you growing. But everybody don't have that because everybody needs on a range properly. I got a vast thesis about how when you grow up in certain environments and you're not told that you are significant, you're not given credit for your efforts, you're not shown love, you miss those needs of like significance. So when you grow up, you need that more, you need love more. So you seek that in different places that ain't good for you. Me, I never sought that. I never felt like I needed more of my father's love. I never felt like I needed more of my mother's love. I felt like I needed to grow and I needed to challenge myself and accomplish something in life. So I don't think everybody has that. Some people, they seek, I need people to see me for who I am. I need to be a part of something. I was always, I'm gonna build it if I don't see it. I was always, well, if you told me I'm this, then that means I can do this. So shit, I'm gonna get it done. So, that's a mindset shift. And that comes from expansion, through exposure. And so the beauty of my whole entire life is I've been exposed to different perspectives. I'm having this conversation with you because I'm always seeking different perspectives. The whole point of high-level conversations is to provide exposure that allows people to think. And I believe a thinking man is a real free man. So let me ask you, how did your voice get the way it was? Because I heard you say before you didn't like your voice on the interview. Well, we almost caught that one.
I had a very strong voice until I was 42. And in fact, my voice was unusually strong. I could talk to big crowds and auditoriums with no amplification. I got this condition, which it sounds like, strangulation. Actually, I would go on TV and talk, and people would write me letters saying, you have spasmodic dystonia, because this is usually associated with trauma. And I was like, my whole life is trauma. I can't put my finger on anything. And so, I just said no, and I treated it in a bunch of different ways. Nothing really worked. You probably noticed the voice sounded really bad at the beginning, and then it gets better as I talk.
But that's also normal for the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always warm up, my vocal cords in the morning before you get to speaking. Doing all of those different voice fluctuations, some tea, it gets you right.
If you want to do like a lengthier outro, we can do that again if we have time. It's up to you. Yeah.
Be honest with you.
Well, I do want to do like a profile question.
Okay.
So just let's at least do that.
Well, we have 4 months and 29 days left.
Mm-hmm.
Got that down to the
It's
exact
been
science.
super intense.
Yeah.
We've been on the road 14 months.
Is this, how many campaigns have you been
It's
involved
my first. Yep.
Yeah.
So we've been working together 15 years. So he was like, I want to run. I said, let's go.
Yeah.
So here
That
we
easy.
are.
You didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
any doubts, concerns?
No, we've been working together a long time. So it was sort of like, we never did I think we'd be in this position to really change the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really exciting. The time is now.
Yeah.
People are ready to break apart the, two-party system, and they see it as a uniparty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time that people vote for people who they are inspired by and not out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it.
That's what's up. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 4 months. This is one of the ones to where it really will decide America's future. The next for the next, I don't know how many years. Like for me, I usually can see the future, and I can in a lot of different ways. But I think that I want people to really take their time to think about the decision that they about to make.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, man, can you do 20 push-ups?
Yeah, but I can't now. I tore my bicep.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't do anything with this arm.
Damn.
It actually dropped down here. I
Yeah.
tore a tendon about a month ago.
You can actually do 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups
I can do
in just over 5 minutes.
24 pull-ups,
Yeah.
good pull-ups in a row.
Okay.
That I can do. Yeah, and then
There's the Kennedy Challenge. And
Kennedy challenge?
the Kennedy Challenge is,
which is 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups in 5 minutes.
Okay.
and he does it in about 5:20.
I'm gonna give you that money. Y'all be blessed though.
Cheers.
Let us know how it goes.
If you follow my platform, you know I'm not a super political person, right? I don't have that much faith in politics. So I'm really just trying to dive into how does this person think, right? And what could they actually do for this country, right? Because if I am to care about politics, then the only things that I'm really going to care about is what direction are you going to take this country in? Like I said, Amechi has sent me a plethora of interviews about Israel, so I know what his stands are. So I don't want to sit there and debate a man when I already know where he stands, right? That's my belief particularly. And as I was talking to some of my peers that I reach out to and ask them, what would you ask? A lot of them kept coming back to economics, right? What you gonna do for the middle class? Where's the opportunities, right? What is the future of AI and the reskilling of America, right? Then it kind of goes into what kind of man are you, right? Are you a part of the elite class? Because you do come from an oligarch family, an American oligarch family known as the Kennedys. Even though that, your family is not backing you in this particular race. There's so many different things that kind of go through my head. And unless we have an unlimited amount of time, I can't really draw out all of the subjects that I wanted to draw out, right? So we had to have a high level over a bunch of different things. But what I want from the people that's listening, I want to ask you all, what do you think about the candidate now that he sat here and had these high level conversations? I will say that, they reached out to us. And I respect that. I've seen him on multiple black platforms, right? I've seen him on multiple white podcasts. And he sat there and respectfully answered all of the questions. That represents something new. I endorse no candidates, right? I believe that local elections matter, and I believe that self-elections matter. You have to self-elect yourself to take care of your own business. I believe that America will always be a corporate capitalism machine. I believe that you do need people in there that are going not just say what you want to hear. So this is why I do respect the fact that he know that wasn't the answers that I wanted, but he didn't give the answer that I wanted. He gave what I believe he believed is his truth, right? I'm not a person that likes to debate and going back and forth because I already figure out what a person is thinking. So for me, I only want the people to sit there and be like, all right, I get what his stance is on this. I get what his stance is on this. Either you got clarity or you didn't. If you didn't get clarity, then there's no reason to go with that leadership.
So who you voting for? Are you gonna vote?
I endorse no candidate. I am voting for myself. I would like to sit down and talk with Cornel West, right? And I want to see what he has to say. Not that I personally believe that he could win. Well, no, because black people are loyal to the Democratic Party, and then the people that are breaking off from their loyalty to the Democratic Party are going directly over to Trump. I think that that would be a lot he would have to do in the next 4 months to have this great surgence, right? To get into the minds of the people, and get this extreme amount of loyalty instantly. I don't see that. Like I said, if there was a candidate I respect a lot of things that they do, it would have been RFK, right? Yeah, that's it. But no, I'm most likely not voting in the first place, so it don't even matter.
This is the first episode in a while that you didn't start with the shades.
Yeah.
Was that strategic? Is there anything to that? I'm just curious. People are gonna ask.
No, because I didn't want to. It's first of all, it's dark in here, right? And these are very dark shades, and I had other shades that I was going to have, which I could have worn throughout the whole thing, right? Which are more clear. And I'm waiting for them to come in because it was a little late. I'm not going to put the shades on, right? And then take them off later. I got to kind of come in with that flow. You feel me? It got to be a natural thing. And then the shades is always like a reveal. Like, all right, it's getting serious now. So if I would have had my other ones, but I was so busy, in my prep stages that I said I can sacrifice this aspect of it. Like I said, in this one, it's a lot of thinking involved for me. Because in no way do I like to portray that I know everything. This is 19 Keys with a Platform Learning. I think the beautiful thing about his platform and many other people who have reached out to us is that they are respecting the platform's influence that it has. And my platform is open to many different people. As if I'm open it to RFK, I'm open it to people that disagree with me. I'm open to people that agree with me. I'm open on many different fronts if we can have conversations that are productive, that get people to think. And a lot of things, like I said, the most important things about the conversation is, the economic policies, which I'm going to say I wasn't satisfied with. But then we say, okay, I don't think no president is going to satisfy that particularly, but I do like to fight against the toxicity of America. That to me is the greater part of it. I got younger brothers who got lead poisoning, right, in St. Louis due to paint. So, and we talk about prison reform, right? We talk about food deserts, right? We talk about education. We talk about lack of access to capital. We talk about job creation. All of these things actually really affect me in real life and affect the conditions of how we grew up, right? So, like I told him, I don't expect him to solve those problems, but I expect you to create opportunities for people who are solving those problems and have those solutions for the brain trust of Black America. And if you're willing to work with the real brain trust of Black America, then things can change. But if you're only willing to stand next to the safe Black Americans, those who are considered to be quote unquote safe on paper, then there ain't no change gonna come. And so I respect his campaign and platform more than any other candidate. You feel me? Because I don't see, and I could be wrong, I don't see Kamala Harris in that year. I don't see them inviting us to the White House. You know what I'm saying? So I think the way that he started his platform off already was unconventional, right, and radical, that you're talking to different sides of America that usually don't get the opportunity to have their voice and opinion in an election. Endorsing a candidate always feels like selling out. You know what I'm saying?
I think you mentioned it at some point. I think at the end, I don't even know if this is an actual episode, but like, you know, he used to be Democrats were kind of for him because they originally saw him kind of attaching himself to Trump, so to speak, and they kind of thought that he would take votes away from Trump. But now it's like the opposite's happened because he's went at Trump on a few things. So it's like people were concerned that he's going to take votes away from Biden. So now the Democrat, it is just funny how that shit works because like it's like now they see him as an enemy. So it's like that whole element of it is interesting to me. And I was really thinking about that with this actual episode, and that's probably going to be like a lot of the criticism that people have. Or like the comments, the negativity. People gonna be like, oh, like you have him on this platform, but he's gonna be, you know, XYZ, like taking shit away from Democrats. It's like you don't care about that though. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a terrible, it's like, you know, you say like the lesser of two evils, and that's a terrible way to think about things. It's also a terrible way to think about things like, oh, this person is gonna take away votes from our side, but not this side. So it's ultimately hurting things. Like I just don't. That shit is weak.
That's on the Democrats. The Democrats should have gave more. Like I think that's the problem with the Democrats. If they would have just gave him a platform, right, and see which one the people want, and then go with whoever the people want, then that to me is a democratic process.
Well, that's not what.
Right, but they don't want to do that, so there's no democracy in that. Right? I remember when I was younger, it used to be hella candidates. Right? Now it's like 2. The Democrats decided that they're not going to get behind anybody else, right, besides Biden. And the people absolutely don't want Biden, but they see that as their best chance of winning because historically, right, a president in office has a better chance. So I think that their strategy is old, and they're not really fighting for the opponent that they have, and everything that they're doing is empowering Trump, right? And I think that that's why this year's election is going to be one of the most dangerous in history. Understand how dangerous it is.
Are we low level or high level?
If you're going to jump into Crownz society, you're saying that I represent power, I represent knowledge of self.
Stepping in the name of drip, get ready with me. Stepping in the name of drip, get ready.
I wear the crown to just symbolize, like, I know who I am, I know why I'm here, I know my purpose.
It's abundance, it's royalty, it's prosperity, it's energy.
Put in. Yeah. I gotta walk with my head held high because you gotta see this and you gotta see this.
I believe that if anybody wants to be able to protect their mind and be able to think freely, you gotta get Crownz Society today, man.
Neo after the blue pill, the color palette's all black. James Bond mixed with Malcolm X in my Che Guevara era.